So now let's look at some ways to deal with these emotional stresses that we were talking about. So strategy 1, to manage external stress. So first we want to identify the incoming stresses, the stresses of the present, the most recent things that have been going on. Then as we get out that pencil and paper and start to write these things down, then we're going to identify past stresses as well. And those can be things that you remember back even when you were a child. And so as we write this list down, then we take a look at it and say, okay, can we reduce or eliminate these stresses? And what are the things that we can do to make that a better situation? And then the other thing to think of is, what if you can't? What if you still feel a lot of stress over a past trauma or situation that just keeps staying with you? So strategy 2 is to use all of those wonderful things that you've used. Of course, most of you have already discovered yoga. One of the things that I have found in my practice is that so many people do not breathe deeply, which I know you've heard of in your yoga practices. We do really shallow chest breathing. And so breathing is a very important thing to get into. Whatever kind of patterns that you find work for you, those are what work for you. Then you can do yoga. We want to make sure we get plenty of rest. What is a good amount of sleep for you? And do you get quality rest? Do you wake up at night? All that sort of thing. So looking into that. How is your nutrition? The general thing to say about that is to eat lean meats and as many fruits and vegetables, staying as natural as possible. Meditation. Anything that you can do with meditation is great. If going out into nature and kayaking on the lake or the river is a meditation for you, then that's great. If you can the main thing is to get the mind to go somewhere else besides thinking of all of those things we have to do or things that have happened and how it's affecting us. And proper hydration. Drinking plenty of fluids and water is very, very important. It actually helps all the energy in your system to flow. And positive relationships. When we talk about positive relationships, those are our family relationships, our significant others, our working relationships. So the more positive in those relationships we can have on our lives, the better. And what is strategy 3? Well, we want to reorganize any of those unhealthy neurological patterns. So what we want to do is to begin to address those unhealthy patterns and start a plan to balance your nervous system. In other words, mind, body, spirit, because mind, body, spirit affects the nervous system. The technique that I use and that I want to tell you about today that would be the most beneficial to you and is virtual or remote. However we do that, I've done these kinds of sessions with people over the phone. I've done them through Zoom, through FaceTime, and just remote at a distance. So this bioemotional integration is very gentle. It's non-invasive. I have studied many emotional releasing, energy, healing, all of that sort of thing. And I've put those kinds of educational experiences that I've had together. So this is a combination of like 7+ modalities. And what it does is it really reorganizes and harmonizes the mind, body, and spirit by releasing and transforming those stuck emotional patterns. So in other words, what we're really going for is to go to that the subconscious mind or the reactive mind or the protective mind, whichever, you'll hear those used interchangeably, I believe. And what we're going to do is create a new neural pathway so that when the trigger response comes up from one of our 5 senses, that we are more likely to go another way than to just react right away and have our bodies come up with all of the chemicals of stress. Because when we go into a fight or flight response, our body changes in many ways, and it takes the blood from all of our organ systems and takes it out to the limbs so that we can run fast to either fight or flee, whichever it is that we need to do. We put out chemicals of stress, adrenaline, cortisol, that kind of thing. Our eyes might dilate, we might start to sweat. Okay, and just going back to what Dr. Darren Weissman talked about with the triune brain, in that you can be triggered into that and in a moment go right back into that fight or flight. So if we're triggered continually and our bodies are in that fight or flight response for days or hours on end, then we are not in the what we call parasympathetic autonomic nervous system, which is the healing part of us. And we all need that healing part with all of the endorphins and the dopamine and serotonin and melatonin and all that good stuff. So we know that whenever we are in a chronic state of fight or flight, we don't sleep as well, we don't digest as well, we don't think as well. So getting back to more of an optimal state. So basically, bioemotional integration is it's like an update to your nervous system, very much like what happens to your computer when you update your computer. And as I said, one of the greatest things about it is it can be performed virtually. And so we will move on to this in just a moment. I wanted to talk a little bit more about bioemotional integration and just let you know that generally what we do with it is we start out with some kind of breath, and it may be a breath of connection like we're about to experience here. And from there, when we get a little bit grounded and centered, where we are more likely to bring in what it is that we need for ourselves, then we do some applied kinesiology or muscle testing, and I ask the body a series of yes and no questions, and we get responses, and then we treat those responses, and we basically reprogram the cells, the molecules, and create these new neural pathways in the brain. So we get to that part, and I have some other breath that takes us right into the body, where we can actually reprogram some of those thoughts, emotions, beliefs that come about in us, and give us the opportunity to look a different way, an opportunity to respond differently the next time that trigger comes up. So it's very cool stuff. As I said, my life and the life of many people that I have worked with has transformed, and so we'll talk a little bit more. I'm going to tell you one more really awesome story about some of the people that I've worked with. So let's go into, this is an experiential thing for you that you can do in your everyday life. You can do it every single day, and I really encourage you to do it anytime you feel that disconnection, anytime you feel anxiety, anytime you feel depression, anytime you feel stressed. This is a breath in which you can come back to yourself again and connect through all the chakras, the whole energy system again, and you can find your balance once again. Okay, so again, this one can be done either sitting in a chair, or you can lay. Either way is good. If you're going to be laying, I suggest that you put your knees up and your feet flat on the floor or the bed or wherever you are. So what we're going to start out with that is, again, the breath pattern is in the nose and out the mouth. So we're just going to take that breath in the nose and out the mouth. And again, let's take about 3 of those breaths. So in the nose, filling all the way up to the lobes of the lungs, and then out through the mouth. And one more breath, in the nose, and out the mouth. So then I'm going to ask you to place your hands one on top of the other, basically right on your belly button here, in this chakra 1-2 area here, okay? So one on top of the other. And what I want you to do is to close your eyes and to take a breath in, and again, pattern is in your nose, out your mouth. So take in about 3 breaths into that area. Okay, so we're gonna make sure you feel the abdomen actually expand as you inhale and move towards your spine as you exhale. So again, let's go for that. We're gonna breathe in and out through the mouth. And take 2 more breaths like that. And I would like for you to observe how that breath feels to you. Is it smooth flowing? Does it feel like it's filling your body with good energy? Or is there some kind of resistance? Is there a place that it pauses as you breathe in? So just be aware of that. And then moving up to the solar plexus, still one hand on top of the other hand. And again, closing your eyes, breathing in with your nose and out through the mouth. And again, 2 more breaths. And again, being aware. Is it easy to breathe in here? Is there resistance? And comparing it to at the abdomen, which one was more free-flowing? Which one was smoother? Which one felt like you could do it forever? And then as you think about that, then move up to the heart area. Still one hand on top of the other, and taking in that chest breath right into the heart, in your nose and out your mouth. And taking in a few more of those breaths, again, observe. Does it flow smoothly and freely? Is there any resistance there? Does it feel like there isn't a lot of space there? Or is it really spacious? So in your mind, I want you to compare the 3. The abdomen, the solar plexus, the heart, and rate them. Number 1 is the area that you can breathe the easiest into, the one that has the most space, the one that feels the best. Number 2 is the one that's in between. And number 3 is the most difficult to breathe into. So just establish 1, 2, and 3 in your own mind. And then go to number 1. Go to the one that is the easiest to breathe into. Usually that one for me is right here. And so I want you to take 3 nice big breaths there, filling the area like you're filling a balloon. So in your nose and out your mouth. 3 good breaths there. And just think of this area as an area that fuels the rest of your body. This is where the energy is flowing freely and well right now. So as we fill that up, then we're going to move to wherever your second one is. It could be here, it could be here, however that goes for you. I'm just going to go in order here. And again, taking in a breath right into that area as you're filling the solar plexus diaphragm balloon. In your nose, out your mouth. And take in 3 breaths there. And just notice if it feels like those areas are a little, or that second area is a little bit easier to breathe into now. Do you have a little more free breath flow through there? And just observe. Again, this is mostly observation. And then we're going to move back down to where number 1 is, whatever that was for you. And let's take 3 more of those nice big breaths into wherever that number 1 area is for you. And again, we're just creating more space. We're just creating more space throughout your body. In the nose, out the mouth, and 1 more of those breaths in the nose and out the mouth. And then moving to whatever your number 3 area is. And then we're going to, again, take that space and move it. So just taking in a breath in your number 3 space, whatever that is for you. And out the mouth. And again, noticing, has this gotten any easier? Does it feel more spacious? Does it feel less resistance than it did before? And taking in at least 3 nice big breaths in that area. And 1 more. Awesome. Okay, and going back to number 1, and just taking in 1 breath there and noticing, wow, how easy does this go? By this time, it probably feels very expansive. Then move into your number 2 spot, whatever that is, and take in a nice big breath there. Again, just observing and comparing it to what it was when you first started to breathe into it. Then go to the number 3 spot. Take in a nice big breath there. And again, just observing. And then just put your hands in your lap or at your side, depending on if you're sitting or laying. And taking in 1 more nice big breath and feel it move throughout the entire system. And then you may open your eyes. So then now that we've connected all of those, just observe, was there something that happened in there? Is that you could feel a shift of some sort? Were you able to breathe more easily into the areas that were more difficult? Did all of that start to feel more even as you came to, when you were just testing that 1 breath at a time? So this is what we call the breath of connection, and it's really all about that when we feel stressed and when we feel angry or anxiety or depression, that kind of thing, we're actually disconnected from ourselves. It's as if there's the outer world out here and then we're somewhere else. So what we really want to do is to come from the outer world here and come back into ourselves. And this is one way that we can get connected. And you can do this breath really, I like coached you through it, but you can do this breath, very quickly when you're at work or right before you go to sleep or when you very first get up in the morning, anything like that. And you can move through it as quickly as you feel like works for you. Just making sure that you're always taking in the nice big breath and feeling the expansion and feeling the connection by the end of it. Okay, so that's our second experience, the meditation being the first. This is the breath of connection. So I think I was telling you before that when it comes to BEI, that as we work through the questions, so first we're going to do some kind of exercise similar to this, and I have a variety of these exercises that I do according to different things that you might tell me about your life and where you're at and what it is that you really need to connect with yourself at that time. So I have a variety of those, and then we ask the questions. And the treatment part of that is very simple. There's also a short sort of breath that you need to do, and I run magnets down either side of the spine, which stimulates the bladder meridian. That's a meridian that runs from the top of the head to the tip of the toes. And this is where we do all of the reprogramming part of things. And we talk to negative cellular memory, all of those things that whenever that trigger comes up, that our cells say, okay, this is what we're doing in this moment, and we're doing it this fast. Okay, so we're speaking to those. We're speaking to the subconscious mind, the one that does not choose, but just reacts. And so that we work through that, and then we will take all of the results of those things. We will look at which body system that has affected. We will look at the emotions that were affecting that body system, and then we will take it all in with these breaths, and we will do affirmations and all this good positive stuff that makes us feel good. So what I want to teach you at this point is what I call the Moola Bandha breath. I learned this breath in particular from Dr. Sue Morter, who is developer of the energy codes. And this is a way of bringing whatever it is that we want into the body. So I'm going to tell you about it first before we actually start doing the exercise. So the first thing we're going to do is like a tightening in the pelvic floor. It's the same, it's just a slight tightening of the muscle, very much like what you would do to stop a stream of urine, or like you ladies like the Kegel exercise, okay? So you know what that is. It's those inner muscles in the pelvic floor. So we're going to tighten those just real quick. Like we're going to move into the heart area. We're going to squeeze the heart, almost like we're hugging the heart from a standpoint that actually opens the heart. So therefore, our backbone is going to expand and lengthen, and we're going to almost like we're touching our shoulder blades together. Okay, and so then that moves up into the throat chakra, where we'll feel just a tightening there, because you know that's where we can quicken a new idea coming in. That's where our communication comes from. And then we're going to quickly move to behind the eyes to the third eye, and we're going to feel just a bit of tightness there. Then we're going to move up to the crown chakra and get in touch with divine. So we're going to make that connection with divine. Okay, so that happens all on the inhale. So I wanted to tell you about it first because the inhale happens much faster than I can talk, right? So let's try that. We're going to come, so we're starting in, we're going to take that breath. We're tightening the pelvic floor. We're moving up to the heart, squeezing the heart. The heart comes open. We have a tightening in the throat behind the third eye. We're coming 6 inches above the head and connecting with divine. And then as we exhale, we're going to come back through all of those centers and land in the heart and in the body. And we can land in different places. Right now, we're going to land in the heart. And then we're going to breathe into the heart. And doing the same thing again. Pelvic floor, heart, throat, third eye, connection with divine. We're going to exhale and come right back through the body, feeling it move throughout your body. So now, as you become more familiarized with that, let's do it just one more time, just so you kind of have that feeling of that it all happens spontaneously, okay? So we're going to take that breath in, we're going to tighten the pelvic floor, we're going to come up to the heart and squeeze the heart. We've got a tightness in the throat, the third eye. We're going to come through the crown and connect with divine. And as we come back in, we're going to breathe that into the body. It could go, this time let's go to the solar plexus. So we can breathe this anywhere in the body and throughout the body. And so what we want is to create something that we desire. And when we make that connection with divine, divine says, yep, and we bring that into our body. So we want to feel that as much as possible. So let's just say you would like to feel more confidence. So what you would do is think of a time that you feel that you have felt really confident about something that you've done and you felt really awesome about it, right? You want to go into that, and it was one of those things you knew you were right on, you knew you were listening to your heart, you knew it was the best way for you to go. So think about that. Just come up with one instance there, okay? And so what we want to do is create that. So again, take in that breath, pelvic floor, heart, throat, third eye, connect with divine. Immediately show divine what that is and what it feels like, how awesome it was, and say, divine, more of that. And then bring it right back into the body and back to your solar plexus, your area of personal power. And do that about 3 times and really make that connection with divine and know that divine says, yes, I hear you. And now you're going to bring that back in, and all you feel is this expansiveness. You might tingle, you might feel some kind of shift, you might hear something, you might have an image in your mind. And there's so many ways this breath can be used. This is only one. But anytime that you really want to bring something into the body, you know, so many of us have affirmations and you think of those affirmations, but we all have heard through law of attraction and so many other things that the more you can feel that, the better that it actually raises the frequency and the vibration in your body by doing that. So in BEI, we've already created a connection with the breath. We've started reprogramming with all the muscle testing questions and treatment. And now what we want to do is really bring it into all of the cells and the molecules in our body. We want to change that frequency. That frequency will always be raised. The more you feel great, the more the frequency in all of your cells will also feel great. Okay, so this is something that you can take with you. I'm sure you were all doing great with that. And I'm sure all of you had some amazing things that you would like to just step up one more step in your life. Or maybe you have a really big grand idea. It doesn't matter. We get to this place through raising the vibration in our bodies, not just a thought in our mind. It's a conscious decision, yet it doesn't all happen through the mind. So this is a way of integrating the mind, body, and the spirit to be accepting of our desires, to remember what our desires are all about and who we were created to be. So I know I get kind of excited when I'm talking about this. And so with that, let me tell you just a couple of really short stories about some of the people that I've worked with. Most recently, when it comes to like physical symptoms, I had a woman come in who's in her 40s, and we'll just name her Mary. And Mary told me that she had been to medical doctors and a variety of chiropractors and acupuncturists and functional medicine, and she had been to neurologists and I don't know who all, but a lot, psychics. And she said that she just keeps having these symptoms. It was neck pain, shoulder pain, and both arms, not just one, both arms completely numb. She was losing function in them, and she was afraid she was going to lose function. So she came to me to experience BEI because she thought she had experienced pretty much everything else. So she was looking for that something. And so we started doing BEI, and by the third session, she came back and said she had feeling in her arms and her hands again, and that they felt functional. She could use them. And that she also did not realize the low-grade headache that she had pretty much 24/7 until it went away. And so, and how did this happen? Well, we looked at some things in her life. With her, there was a lot going on with her father. And so it was just working through some of those belief systems that she had. And in her outer life, a lot of things were happening too. She had a string of boyfriends who were very much like her dad, who had cheated on her mom many times, and they finally divorced. And she just was at a point she didn't trust him, and she didn't trust these other men. So she is now in a relationship that is much healthier, and she's just like on top of her game in her career, and you know, and physically she's functioning. It's just like amazing stuff to watch, and very heartwarming for me. Very heartwarming for me. The other story I want to tell you before we go is that I had a married couple here. Well, they're still here with me. And both of them have come from a very dysfunctional background. Their physical symptoms were neck and shoulder, and wife with digestion, that kind of thing. And mom came from a family where her mother was a drug addict. Dad came from a family that in which his mother had very vague boundaries about a lot of things, and he was shamed on a regular basis. And so they came in and started working with BEI, again, just discovering and reprogramming these belief systems, these thoughts, these things that had always been going on. They were feeling their feelings and working through them instead of stuffing everything away and then letting them come out in anger. And so as time has gone on, they've been here with us for a few months, and at one point they told me that this last 3 weeks of their life has been the best part of their married life since they became married, that it was the most pleasant, it was the most meaningful, it was the most meaningful for them, and that they both felt hope that their families are going to proceed in a different direction than when they were growing up. So that's also an awesome thing. They have a 3-year-old who we also see here for network care, which is a physical chiropractic technique that I use. And through everything that's happened with mom and dad, and of course their energies have changed, this little girl could not sleep at night because if mom and dad had disagreements, she didn't sleep very well. She now sleeps through the night and is just like, her personality is just blossomed. So there's a lot of different things that go on with this. I have another lady who came in because she had lower back pain, and after a while, as her back pain cleared up with things, she says, you know, I didn't realize it, but I've been depressed all this time. So she had like a low grade sort of depression. It wasn't the kind of thing she couldn't get out of bed, but just not feeling alive. So what I would like to do for you and anyone you know is to open up those doors, to open up the trap door that holds all of these emotions in our physiology, and free us up so that we can all express ourselves in the world. Because the more each of us individuals express ourselves in the world, the better the entire world gets, because we all affect one another, right? So your little pebble in the water, it will reach so and so many people. So that's what I'm hoping to do today. So I believe that everyone deserves to live your best life and to be happy and to be healthy. So with that, I would like to make you an offer today, and that is for this limited time only, for today and until midnight tonight. We are offering a consult, a report, and the first BEI session for only $50. This session will last anywhere, this beginning session anyway, takes a little bit longer, and it will last anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half, and is valued at least $250. So this is an amazing opportunity for you to reset your nervous system and your life to a higher frequency, and I would love to help you do that. I am so grateful and honored to have you here with me today, and I hope that as you leave this session that you have learned something that you didn't know before, that you have been enlightened in some way, that you've been motivated in some way, that you see a new road, some hope, and that if there's anything that I can do to help you, that you can visit my website at www.touchlightchiro, that's TOUCHLIGHTCHIRO.com. And if you go there, you will find an offer for all of those who have been part of the Belize International Yoga Festival, and you can go to that site and we will help you get signed up for this offer. So thank you so much for being with me today, and I wish you all the best. Namaste.